Oh, there I am. Hey guys, welcome back to Southern Gal True Crime. I hope everybody's doing well today. It is hump day, so we made it halfway through the week. I hope everybody's had a good week so far. It is Wednesday, so I uh, thought I'd bring you a special video. Sometimes I do videos on Wednesday, sometimes I don't. But the other day, I came across this article while I was researching for content. I'm always trying to look for different ways to look at true crime from different angles, and I came across this article about the top 8 states that have the most serial offenders. And this article came out in the last couple of years, so it is fairly recent, up-to-date information. I found it interesting, and I hope you guys will too, so I'll be bringing you that. But first, as always, we have our featured missing person of the night. And this information, as always, once again, comes from neverforgottenAR.org, which is the Arkansas Missing Persons Database. And tonight's featured missing person is Jana Davis. She is 49 years old. She is says race unknown. She's a female, 5'7", 160 pounds, with green eyes and brown hair. For some reason, I cut off some of the information. But anyway, she went missing on August 23rd of this year, so a little less than a month ago. So if you have any information on Jana, you can contact the Carroll County Sheriff's Department. And I think, if I remember correctly, she went missing from Batesville. But anyway, you can, if you have any information about Jana or her disappearance, you can contact the Carroll County Sheriff's Department at 870-423-2901. Now, as always, I will put a link to this information in the description box. So I ask you, please share it anywhere and everywhere you can. To get the information out, because the more people that see it, the better. All right, with that taken care of, we will get into our subject matter for the night. And as you can see, it is the top 8 states with the most serial offenders. As I said, I found this just searching Google, as usual, my go-to when I'm searching for content, like I said. And I just found it very interesting and very surprising about some of the states that have some of the most serial offenders. So we will get into the list. Get my slides going. I always have problems with my slides going. Either that or it's my internet. Well, it's not internet connection. I just do all this through my phone. So evidently my phone service decides to be slow every once in a while. But so the number 8 state with the most serial offenders is Pennsylvania. That kind of surprised me. It has 5 serial offenders with a total victim count of 462. And this says this outranks Indiana, which really surprised me, because there are a lot of cases that I know of that comes from Indiana. Delphi is one of them. The other one slipped my mind, of course, but there are a lot of cases that come from Indiana. And it also outranks Louisiana, which did not surprise me, because as we get into this, I did not realize that Louisiana had as many serial offenders as they claim that they have. Anyway, back to Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania's most well-known serial offender is Harvey Miguel Robinson. Now, this is one I had never heard of, so I'm going to have to definitely look into him. He is known for being one of the youngest serial offenders reported in the U.S. And when he was 18 years old, he went on a violent spree, during which he took the lives of 3 young women and seriously injured 2. One of Robinson's surviving victims led to his eventual arrest. After this victim escaped, the police, they used her to bait Mr. Robinson out, and they managed to they shot him before he fled to a hospital, where he was subsequently arrested. And he is currently on death row in Pennsylvania. So other notorious serial offenders out of Pennsylvania are the House of Horrors offender, Gary Heidnick, which is another one that I haven't heard of. Harrison Graham and Mark Spots, which I actually think I don't ever really heard of, haven't really ever heard of any of these. So I'm definitely gonna have to do my research on these. So number 8 was Pennsylvania. Number 7, which surprised me, is Louisiana. Now, living in Arkansas, of course, I live very close to Louisiana. I've been there several times. We usually, every year for about the past 6 or 7 years, we go down to, not to New Orleans, to Mardi Gras, but of course, every time I'm doing these videos, the information that flies out of my mind. Anyway, we go down to a different place in Louisiana for a Mardi Gras parade, spend the weekend there. It's very family friendly, not anything like you've seen. Now, I have been to New Orleans, not during Mardi Gras, but where this place we go to is very family friendly, lots of children, lots of beautiful floats and entertainers, and it's a great experience. So if I remember later on in the video where it is we actually go to, I'll let you know. But anyway, so Louisiana is the number 8 state. It has had 6 serial offenders who are responsible for the killings of 344 victims. And like I said, that surprised me a lot. So Samuel Little is known, which I do know of Samuel Little. I plan on in the future doing a video on this offender, because once again, he is a very, very bad man. And it is widely said that he is known by many to be the most prolific offender in American history. Now, he confessed to 93 homicides, and 60 of which are confirmed, which is very, very unusual, because we all know a lot of these offenders, after they're caught, they will confess to or take credit for victims that they did not actually take the life of. But now in his case, he gave the names, locations, and I can't remember. I think he may be the one that did the drawings of a lot of his victims. Anyway, 60 of his confessions were confirmed. Based on his confessions, he will be responsible for more than a quarter of all the killings in the state of Louisiana. So that is very scary. That just blew my mind. He's the reason, evidently, that the main reason that Louisiana made the list of the top 8 states of the most serial offenders. Almost all of his victims were female drug addicts or sex workers, whom he believed will leave the least evidence behind for law enforcement to follow. And unfortunately, this is common with a lot of these serial offenders. They take victims such as sex workers, homeless, people who they either know or think don't have family that will look for them. So he thinks in his mind that they either won't be found at all, or it will be many, many years later when they're found, and they won't be connected to him. He actually died in prison at age 80 while serving 4 life sentences without the possibility of parole. So thank God he was caught and put behind bars so he cannot harm any other individuals. Some other infamous serial offenders from Louisiana also include Henry Lee Lucas. I'm sure if you're interested in true crime, you've heard that name. He was known as the Deadly Drifter, and I also plan on at some point doing a video on him. I have watched the movie Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. If you've not seen it, I encourage you to watch it. It's a great, great movie. Um, Other notable serial offenders from Louisiana: Ronald Joseph Dominique, who is known as the Bayou, as we say it, Bayou down here, killer, and of course we know Danny Rolling, the Gainesville Ripper. So that is Louisiana coming in at number 7. Next, at number 6, we have Indiana. Once again, this was not a surprise to me. Like I said, there's a lot of serial cases that have come out of Indiana. So Indiana has 6 known serial offenders with a total of 349 victims, which puts it in at the 6th spot on the list. But it is only 12th on the list of victims. So they have more offenders than they do attributed victims when it comes to this list, is basically what they're saying. So Herb Baumeister was a prominent businessman from Indiana. He lived on an 18-acre estate with his wife and 2 children. So once again, we have a serial offender who's leading this dual life. He has a family life, and then he has the serial offender life, which he has managed to keep separated and keep secret from his family and loved ones. In June of 1996, the skeletal remains of 11 missing young men from the Indiana gay community were found on his property. Leading Baumeister, he took his own life before he could be charged. So, in my opinion, he took the coward's way out. Interestingly, it says, while Baumeister's wife denies knowing anything related to her husband's other life, she does admit to one of their children finding a skeleton in the backyard. Now, Herb, good old Herb there, explained that it belonged to his deceased father, who was a doctor. So, the issue, and I'm not judging his wife, but the issue I have is, first, you have one of your children that finds this human skeleton in the yard. First of all, first thing you should have done, or she should have done, is called the police, obviously. But she, her husband told her that the skeleton belonged to his deceased father. Second, that why would you bury your deceased father on your property instead of giving him a proper burial at a cemetery or cremation or whatever his wishes had been? Why would you bury him on your property? Which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, is it illegal to bury a body anywhere other than like consecrated ground, or an official burial place such as a cemetery, or if it's cremated, you can keep the ashes and so forth? Please let me know in the comments, because I'm pretty sure you can't just bury a human body, just even if it was natural causes. You can't bury it just anywhere you want to. But anyway, other notorious serial offenders from Indiana include Bill Gunnis, Larry Eiler, and Darren Dion Van. I have not heard of the first 2. I have heard of Darren Dion Van. I've looked into him a little bit. I haven't done a deep dive yet. But I think he was one that I was researching to maybe do a video on. All right, next, moving on, we have Ohio, which is number 6, 5. I forgot what number we were on. Anyway, so Ohio has the same amount of serial offenders as Illinois, which is 7, but is ranked lower due to the fact that it has fewer victims at 505. So Ohio's most notorious serial offender is Sean Great. He assaulted and took the lives of 5 young women between 2006 and 2016. So he was in operation, as far as we know, for 10 years. In September of 2016, the police received a 911 call from a woman who whispered that she had been kidnapped and was currently only a few feet away from her sleeping kidnapper. Now, actually, I might have heard, because this does sound familiar, I might have heard this story, but just didn't recognize the offender's name. As 911 tried to coax her out of the home, she accidentally woke him up, and in the race to find her before she become his next victim began. When law enforcement arrived at the scene, they found trash piled up to the ceiling, ew, and multiple, even more ew, decomposing bodies. Gray was then arrested and is scheduled to be put to death in 2025. So it is, as I'm filming this video, it's 2023, so I'm going to definitely have to look him up to see. I'm sure they went through all the appeals and everything to delay the his execution, so I'll definitely look into that. And it says here, though Jeffrey Dahmer, the majority of his crimes took place in Wisconsin, therefore would fall under the Wisconsin if it was on this list. It is important to note that he did grow up in Ohio, and that is also where he committed his first crime. So, interesting fact, interesting footnote. So apparently Ohio doesn't have a lot of it didn't list it didn't give a list of any of the other 6 offenders that it has, so I'll have to look that up. All right, we will move on. Next is Illinois. From Illinois, there have been 7 offenders with a total victim count of 680. They are the only state on this list to have the same ranking for both offenders and victims, as they are in 4th place for both. That's interesting. So, of course, the most famous to come out of Illinois is John Wayne Gacy, commonly referred to as the Killer Clown, which I hate clowns. Give me the creeps. Even as a kid, I hated clowns. Still do. He is, as I said, one of the most well-known serial offenders in U.S. history. His number of victims is, they say, disgustingly high, as he took the lives of at least 33 young men and boys. He stored most of his victims in the crawl space underneath his home in the Chicago suburbs. Gracie's side job involved playing a clown at children's birthday parties, hence the creepy nickname. And he was put to death by injection on May 10th, 1994. So, yeah, I, of course, know as any true crime buff or person interested in it would know John Wayne Gacy, but I just cannot bring myself to look at pictures of him, especially when he's in that creepy clown get-up, because it just freaks me out. I just don't like clowns. Anyway, enough of my phobias. Other notable serial offenders from Illinois are the Chicago Rippers, which is a satanic cult made up of Robin Gecht, Edward Spreitzer, and brothers Andrew and Thomas Corcarellis, as well as the Lipstick Killer, which I have heard of, William Hirons, who he wrote on the walls of one of his victims' homes with lipstick. All right, next we have Texas, which was, again, that was a surprise for me on this list. They have 8 known serial offenders and 948 victims, which, like I said, that surprised me. But then again, Texas is a very big state with a very big population, so I guess 948 wouldn't be out of the norm for to be on a list like this. One of Texas's most, as I say, most awful serial offenders is Janine Jones, aka the Angel of Death. I have heard of her. Who in the early 1980s, she took the lives of between 11 and 46 innocent children while working as a pediatric nurse. As a truly evil individual, she would inject the children as sometimes some as young as 1 month old. Trigger warning. I'm sorry, I forgot to say trigger warning on this. I try to give trigger warnings when it involves the harming of children. Sorry. She injected them with lethal doses of drugs that would induce fatal paralysis or heart failure. She has been sentenced to life in prison, and she will not be eligible for parole until she is 87 years old. And so that was in the early 80s. I don't even know if she's still alive because this is 2023, so it's been about 35, 40 years ago. Other notable serial offenders from Texas include Angel Maturino Resendez, who is nicknamed the Robo Killer, Dean Coral, the Candyman. I have heard of him. I think I have him on my list to do a video of. And Kenneth McDuff, the Broomstick Killer, which I have not heard of. So I'll have to research him. I have a lot of research to do, which I'm always researching, or what I call researching in my spare time. I'm just getting on Google or whatever and just put in true crime or serial offenders or whatever and just scroll through and see what pops up. I try to find cases that you don't hear a lot about, because on this channel, because there's 1,000 other YouTube channels out there that do all the most famous cases. So I try to find some cases that are not as well known, and to try to bring attention to them, because as I've always said on my channel, that the purpose of this channel is to bring attention to the lesser known cases, to get their stories out, so that they will be never forgotten, as all victims deserve to be never forgotten. All right, let's see who we got next on the list. So we're up to second place now, which is California, which does not surprise me. It's a big state. There have been a lot of famous cases that came out of California. So it's in second place for the number of serial offenders. But in first place by almost double. So it's second place in the number of offenders, but it is in first place in the number of victims. So the number of victims, so they have 15 known serial offenders, but they have over 1,700 victim count. So that's a lot of victims in one state. California is home to several of the most notorious serial offenders of all time, which accounts for the exceedingly high number of victims. Of course, we got the Zodiac Killer. His work has been described as the most famous unsolved case in American history, and this is one that drives me crazy. I so want to know who the Zodiac Killer is. I've watched every TV show, video, documentary on Zodiac Killer, and everybody has their own opinion of who. Sorry, should have put my hair up, but anyway, of who the Zodiac Killer is. Hopefully one day we'll find out. Anyway, he terrorized Southern California between 1968 and 1969. He wrote another one that wrote taunting letters to police, as did Dennis Rader, BTK. He claimed to have taken the lives of 37 men and women. Of the 37, 7 have been confirmed. 5 passed away, and there were 2 survivors. And of course, his case remains open. Other notorious offenders include Kenneth Bianchi, who was the Hillside Strangler, and of course, Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker. To me, I can't I was going back to how I couldn't look at pictures of clowns, or I look at John Wayne Gacy and his clown get up. I have a hard time looking at pictures of Richard Ramirez. He is, to me, in my opinion, if you have the devil in the flesh, it would be Richard Ramirez. You look at his eyes, they just radiate evil. They're just you can't describe anybody who's seen pictures of Richard Ramirez, and you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I think of all these serial offenders that I've ever researched and read about, he creeps me out the most. He's got the highest creep factor. He was just an evil person. Right, so we'll see who number one is. And it is New York. New York comes in at number one. It has been the home to 18 known serial offenders and has a total known number of 677 victims. So although it has a lower victim count than California, they ranked at number one due to the number of offenders, which they say is 18, which we all know there could be more. These are just the ones that are known. Of course, David Berkowitz, son of Sam, he is the most infamous serial offender from New York. From 1976 to 1977, he took the lives of 6 people, and he wounded 11 because he was a shooter. He earned the moniker Son of Sam after, and I did not know this little piece of information until I read this. He earned the moniker Son of Sam after the police received a letter. Well, this part I knew. Received a letter in which he referred to himself by that name. But what I didn't know was that this was a reference to his next door neighbor. So apparently his next door neighbor maybe was named Sam. And so Berkowitz believed that his neighbor's dog was possessed. I knew this, of course. And he wanted to do away with the dog. He was sentenced to life in prison on May 18th of 1978. And as far as I know, he's either still there or he's passed away. I've got so much information in my head, I can't keep it straight. But other notable serial offenders from New York include Richard Angelo, Paul Batson, and Joseph G. Christopher, who was known as the Midtown Slasher. Yes, may I help you? My cat's back. He hates it when if you watch, any of you watch my other videos, my cat usually has to come in and when I'm doing these videos, because I'm not paying attention to him, and anybody with cats knows how needy cats are. But apparently he's decided to stalk away and pout, so maybe he'll leave me alone at least till I can get this video finished. All right, so that was our top 8 states with the most serial offenders. So please let me know what you think in the comments about this. Do any of these states that were included, were they surprising to you? Like I said, there's a couple that were surprising to me. Louisiana, I think, was the biggest one that was a surprise to me. The other ones pretty much seemed weren't too surprising. So if you did find this video interesting, or informative, please give it a thumbs up. Like I said, leave me your comments on what you thought. If you have any family, friends, any true crime groups that you're in, please feel free to share it. If you like what I do here at Southern Gal True Crime, everybody always tells me I talk too fast. I guess it's a Southern thing. So I have to slow down my talking, take a deep breath. Anyway, if you do like what I do here at Southern Gal True Crime, please consider subscribing. Check the notification bell to all so you won't miss any new videos that I upload. I upload 2 to 3 times a week. On Mondays, I do Missing Person Monday. On Fridays, I have my cold case of the week. Wednesdays, sometimes if I come across some interesting information like this, or there is any information that comes out in the news about the high profile cases that are in the news, I might do a short condensed video to bring you that information. So yeah, that's what I do here. So I will be back Friday with my cold case of the week. So until then, please take care. Take care of yourself. Be very careful out there. Unfortunately, we live in a world these days that is not safe sometimes. 99% of the world is fantastic, but there's that 1% that you got to look out for. Take care of each other. That's the most important thing we can do, is take care of each other so we can all make it safely through this life. So once again, thanks for watching, and I will be back Friday. See you later.